Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are going to now build our own layout grid for our mobile screens right now. So let's jump right in. So this is actually the resource that's going to be available to you, but I'm going to show you how to build this exact same layout grid. It's both a combination of a baseline grid, which has the blue rows running from top to bottom, and then the column grid, which is that responsive column grid that's going to run left to right. And we're going to create two. We'll create one without the baseline because I know a lot of people either don't like to use baseline grids. Some people are really like big sticklers about using baseline grids and ensuring everything is like on that baseline. In reality, the truth is when it comes to code, that doesn't necessarily sometimes translate as well, but we're going to do it anyways. And I'm going to show you how. So let's jump right in. So that's just our reference over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press F. And then I'm going to grab a screen. Let's just use the 13 Pro because I think that's what we're going to use as our screen for designing. And we'll make it responsive. So that way, it's going to be able to stretch if we need it for larger or smaller screens. Stretch and shrink, that is. So let's jump in. We'll just call this mobile layout grid. And we're going to bring that up here. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to just create the columns. So we are going to jump in and go to auto layout. Nope. We're going to go to our layout grid and we're going to press that little plus button. So now we have like this random like dot grid. This is really great if you want to design icons and stuff like that. We don't want to do that. So we want to actually create a columns grid. So there we go. You'll notice that on my columns grid here, I actually have 8 columns. I like having a little bit of variety because that means if I want to use a lot of horizontal scrolling because we don't have as much real estate, it allows me to set different things on these columns pretty easily. So I'm going to go and bump that count all the way to 8. You feel free to, try different things. It really doesn't matter. It's going to be preference. I wouldn't do 12. That's a lot. And I usually cap out at 8 or 6. Some people like to keep it really simple and just do like 2 or 4. I like a little bit of variety and it really depends on the type of content. So I'm going to keep that color the same. You can change the color if you want. If you want to make it like say purple, we can do that as well. That's what I'm going to do. Purple is one of my favorite colors. So I'm going to roll with purple and we'll keep it at 10%. We're going to leave the width at auto because we're going to stretch. That means it's going to be able to go and stretch like that. So it's going to be a responsive grid. Let's go back into those properties. The margin on either side, I like to do things like maybe 16 to 24. If we're thinking about our base unit, like spacing, I like to work with like a 8 pixel or 4 pixel base unit. I'm going to actually just use this 24 pixels because it gives me a lot of breathing room on either side, which I find is something I like. For the gutters though, I like to keep them a little bit tight. So 16 is usually where I net out when I choose that. And there we go. We've already created the layout grid for just like an 8 column simple grid here. And now we can go ahead and just turn that into a style. So I'm going to just call this one mobile and we can say that it's 8 column. So I'll just use like COL as a short form for it. And there we go. We have it over here. And the next thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to make a copy of this. So I'm going to, Control C, Command C and V, and make a copy over here. And I'm going to detach this style because I'm going to work on top of it now. So now this is where we're going to build the actual row baseline grid. So we can actually add a grid on top. Now, we don't need that one. We're going to go to our rows and that looks pretty crazy. We don't want that. What we're going to actually do is we're going to keep it to auto because we just want it to, flow nicely. It's going to be a red screen for now. So bear with me. Let's zoom in a bit. We are actually going to just, instead of have it stretch because we're not like thinking about this massive modular grid or anything like that, we're just going to have it start from the top. So it automatically starts from the top. And the gutters, I'm going to keep it simple. When we're thinking about like the spacing points that we're using, 4 pixels, 8 pixels, when it comes to the baseline, I like to keep it at 8 pixels because 4 pixels is really tight and there's just too much variation. I like to keep it at 8. I'm just going to keep 8 pixel on the gutter, and then on the height of the actual row, I'm going to keep 8 pixels as well. It's going to start right from the top and go down. And then I'm going to just change the color to something that, stands out a bit. So we can, use red. We can just say we can make it a little bit more noticeable like that. We may need to even change our colors. This is why people will use something like a blue and a red, because it's just easier to see what's going on here, because it can get quite distracting. So, it's preference, whatever is going to work for you, to be honest, at the end of the day. And there we go. And now what we can do, which is really great, is we can actually combine these two into their own style. We can say something like 8 column, and 8 pixel baseline. So that way we know what that is. And if we go over here, click on the canvas, we can see our grid styles. And then we can, start adding a folder if we need to. We can edit them. Right now they're under mobile. If we have desktop styles, we can stack them above in a folder called desktop. So we have our 8 column baseline one right there. And if I'm just press the frame tool and come over here, I can easily jump into my layout grid options and say, hey, I want to apply that one, or no, I want to switch between that one. And these grids that we just created together should carry us throughout the rest of our work here. And that is how you create your own mobile layout grids.